Watch a left-handed person write. As their hand slides across the page, it drags through the wet ink they just laid down, smudging the words from a second ago. Right-handers never think about it. For a lefty, it is a small daily reminder that the world was built for the other hand. About 1 in 10 people is left-handed. Not 1 in 100, not half. 1 in 10. And here is the strange part. It has been almost exactly 1 in 10 for as long as we can measure, across every culture and back through recorded history. And from the hands painted on cave walls, tens of thousands of years before that. A number that stable usually means we understand it. This one, we mostly don't. Whatever makes you left or right-handed, it is not how you were raised. It is already there before you are born. In the womb, by about 15 weeks, most fetuses are already sucking their right thumb, around 9 in 10 of them. The 1 in 10 who favor the left thumb tend to become the left-handers. The preference is there before the hand has anything to hold. That points to something deep, and it opens 2 questions science still cannot fully answer. The first is why humans are handed at all. Plenty of animals favor one paw over the other, but as individuals, roughly 50-50 across the group. Humans are the odd ones. Almost the whole species leans the same way, and no other primate is anywhere near this lopsided. The second question is the one in the title. If right-handedness wins so completely, why didn't left-handers simply vanish? Start with the obvious suspect, genes. Handedness does run in families. Studies of twins put its heritability at around 25%, so surely there is a gene for it. There isn't. When scientists read the DNA of hundreds of thousands of people, they did not find a left-handed gene. They found dozens of genes, each nudging the odds by a tiny amount, together explaining only a few % of it. And many of them do something unexpected. They build the cell's internal scaffolding, tiny tubes called microtubules, the very scaffolding that lays out the left and right sides of the brain. Handedness looks less like a switch and more like a side effect of how an asymmetric brain gets assembled. Which hand you end up with seems to come down to that faint genetic lean, plus a large helping of chance. Before we go further, 2 things this is not. It is not that left-handers are right-brained and everyone else left-brained. That is a myth. Handedness and the side of the brain you use for language are linked, but they are not a mirror. Almost all right-handers handle language on the left, and so do most left-handers. Only about a quarter are flipped. And left-handers do not die younger. You may have heard that they do. A famous study in 1991 even put the gap at 9 years. It was a mirage. For most of the 20th century, left-handed children were forced to switch hands, so among the very old, almost no one still counted as left-handed. It looked like lefties were dying early. In truth, they had simply been erased from the records. Careful studies find no real difference in lifespan.
So back to the hard question. Why 10%? The leading idea is a balance of advantages. Being in the right-handed majority is useful for cooperation, shared tools, learning by copying, doing things the way everyone else does. But being a rare left-hander carries a hidden edge, and you can see it most clearly in a fight. Face someone who has trained their whole life against right-handers, and coming at them from the wrong side is a real advantage. This is not just a theory. Across more than 13,000 professional boxers and mixed martial arts fighters, left-handers win significantly more often. And more violent traditional societies tend to have more left-handers, exactly as the idea predicts. The catch is that the edge only works while lefties stay rare. If everyone were left-handed, the surprise would be gone. That pins the minority near 10%, common enough to matter, rare enough to stay dangerous. It is a beautiful idea. It may also be only part of the story. Some societies do not fit the pattern, and researchers still argue over how much of that 10% it really explains. So here is where we honestly stand. Left-handedness is old, older than writing. It is set before birth. It is partly genetic, though no single gene runs it. It is held near 1 in 10, probably by some balance of advantages we have not fully pinned down. And the deepest question, why our species became so one-handed in the first place, may reach all the way back to the moment our ancestors stood upright and grew larger brains. A recent study traces the right-hand bias growing stronger, step by step, from early hominins to us. But May is doing a lot of work in that sense. Why it settles at exactly 10% and not 5 or 20, we do not know. Why humans and almost no other animal, we do not know either. Which brings us back to that hand, dragging through wet ink. It is one of the oldest and most ordinary things about us. A small asymmetry you were born with, that your distant ancestors shared, and that is held at 1 in 10 since long before anyone could write it down. We can measure it perfectly. We just cannot quite explain it. Some of the deepest mysteries are not hiding in distant galaxies. Sometimes one is sitting at the end of your own arm.